The soft chime above the door barely registered with most customers, but Tanya heard it like instinct. She always did. That bell had become part of the rhythm of her life, like her kids' alarm clocks or the hiss of the coffee maker every morning. She didn't even glance up at first. Just another customer, another plate, another refill. But then she heard someone clear his throat in that quiet, familiar way. She turned. There he was, Elon Musk. Not the tech titan or the world's richest man version. Not the one people gossiped about on Twitter or shouted about on cable news. This version wore old jeans, a black hoodie, and tired eyes. He walked like someone who didn't want to be seen, but had accepted that he always would be. And he always came alone to this place, this little, worn-in corner of Austin where the walls were covered in faded photos and the waitress still remembered your order after the second visit. Tanya tried not to react, but he gave her the smallest nod. "Hey," she said casually. "Didn't think we'd see you this early." "Jet lag," he said, sliding into his usual booth. "Or something like it." She raised an eyebrow. "You got a usual now?" "Guess I do. You want it?" He looked up at her, amused. "You tell me." She gave a sly smile and clicked her pen. 2 eggs, medium, bacon, crispy, sourdough toast, no butter, black coffee, strong, no sugar. "You're good." "I'm a waitress," she shrugged. "It's my job to remember the people who tip over 25%. That made him chuckle, and in that second he looked, just briefly, like someone without the weight of the world on his shoulders. She turned to walk away but paused. "You want to try the special today? It's actually not terrible." "What is it?" "Sweet potato hash with smoked sausage and peppers." "Sounds like something someone pretends to like." "Maybe," she said with a grin, "but it's real food, not lab-grown or 3D printed. That counts for something." He smirked. "All right, throw it in." Bold move. As she walked back to the kitchen, Tanya let out a slow breath. Elon Musk might have been a global figure, but in this place he was just another regular. Someone who came in when he could have eaten anywhere else. Someone who didn't ask for special treatment, even when he clearly could. And that's why people liked him here. She brought him his food 10 minutes later, setting it down gently. "There," she said, "sweet potatoes and sausage, served with a side of questionable decisions." He smiled again, but this time it faded quickly. He stared at the plate like it wasn't really what he came here for. "You good, sugar?" Tanya asked, watching him more closely. "You look like someone told you your rocket blew up." He looked up. "No, nothing exploded, yet. But something's off." He hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Just tired." She sat down across from him without asking. It was slow and the other tables were fine. For the first time that day, she allowed herself to just be still. "I know that kind of tired," she said. "Not the sleepy kind. The soul kind." He looked at her, surprised. "You'd be amazed how many people sit in that seat looking just like you," she added. "They got money, power, fancy cars, and they still look like they lost something." "Maybe they did. Maybe you did too." He didn't reply right away, just picked at his toast. Tanya leaned back. "You want to know what I think?" "Not really," she grinned. "Too bad. You came here." He chuckled again, softer this time. "I think people like you come here because this is one of the only places where nobody's asking you to save the world." Elon looked up slowly. "That's oddly accurate." "Well," she said, rising to her feet, "you don't have to save the world today. Just eat your damn hash. I worked hard on it." He smiled. "Yes, ma'am." The rest of his breakfast went quietly. Tanya refilled his coffee once, then again. She didn't hover, didn't ask questions, just kept the space warm. And when he finished, she brought the check over like always, folded neatly inside a small black folder. Except this time he didn't reach for his wallet. Instead, he pulled out a piece of paper, handwritten, folded. He slid it across the table. "What's this?" she asked. He didn't meet her eyes. "Something I wanted you to read, later." She blinked, thrown off. "You sure it's for me?" "I wouldn't give it to anyone else." There was something in his voice. Not flirtatious, not performative, just real. He stood, dropped a wad of cash under the check, and gave a slight nod. Thanks for the coffee, and the silence. Before she could say anything else, he was gone. Tanya stared at the door long after he left. It was almost an hour before her shift ended, but she couldn't stop thinking about the note. She waited until the last table cleared, until the dishes were stacked, until the other waitress offered to take the register. Then with shaking hands, she opened it. There were only a few lines, written in dark, firm strokes. You reminded me what real kindness looks like. I can't fix everything, but maybe I can fix something for you. Elon, and beneath it, a check, folded behind the note. She unfolded it slowly and gasped. $50,000. Tanya stared at it. Her knees buckled. She sank into the booth. Her hand flew to her mouth. And then she burst into tears. Tanya sat there frozen in the booth, the check trembling between her fingers. $50,000. It looked surreal, not because of the amount, though that was staggering, but because of what it meant, what it could change. Rent, the past due utility bills, her son's braces, the credit card she'd been avoiding, the busted transmission in her old Corolla, the fact that she hadn't bought herself a new pair of shoes in over a year. All of it could finally breathe. Tears ran down her cheeks uncontrollably, not just from shock, but from the weight lifting. Slowly, like bricks being pulled off her back one by one. A few of the other waitresses glanced her way, confused. She waved them off with a tearful smile, pressing the check gently against her chest as if afraid it might vanish. She didn't speak for the rest of her shift. She couldn't. She went home quietly that night, kissed her sleeping kids on their foreheads, sat down at the kitchen table with a cup of microwave tea, and stared at the note again. You reminded me what real kindness looks like. Why her? What had she done, really? She didn't flatter him. She didn't beg. She didn't treat him like royalty. She just saw him. Not the billionaire, not the icon, the man, and somehow that had mattered. The next morning, Tanya returned to the diner as always. Same apron, same tight bun in her hair, same warm smile for the regulars. But something inside her had shifted. She floated through her tables like something sacred was tucked in her pocket. Because it was. She hadn't cashed the check yet. She wasn't ready. Not because she didn't need the money. God knew she did. But because it felt bigger than that. It felt like permission to believe again. At around 10:30 a.m., the bell over the door chimed again. She didn't have to look. She knew. Elon Musk stepped in quietly as if nothing had happened. Same jeans, same hoodie, same seat in the corner. But when he sat down, he looked up and saw her watching. Their eyes met. Tanya didn't smile right away. She walked over slowly, holding the note in one hand, not to return it, just to show him. I read it, she said. He nodded once, waiting. She leaned against the booth, arms folded. You didn't have to do that. I know, he replied simply. Why did you? He paused. His eyes didn't dodge hers. Because I'm used to people treating me like I'm more than I am. You treated me like I was human. And some days, I forget what that feels like. Tanya swallowed hard. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did, he said softly. You were present. You were real. That's rare. She looked down at the check again. Her voice was quieter now. You changed a lot for me, you know. I don't think you meant to, but you did. He nodded again, then looked past her to the counter. Can I get the special? She laughed. Still got leftover hash. You want the real stuff or the mystery meat version? Surprise me. She walked away with tears still in her eyes. But this time they came with a smile. That day, Tanya made the decision. She deposited the check, paid off every urgent bill, booked an appointment to finally fix her car, bought groceries without counting every cent. And then she did something else. She took $2,000 from the check and started a small fund. The Tanya Table Fund at the diner, a jar behind the counter, unmarked. Used only when a single mom came in and whispered, just coffee for me. because she couldn't afford more. When asked where it came from, Tanya would smile and say, "Let's just say, someone reminded me that kindness is a circle and it always comes back." Elon continued coming to the diner. Sometimes he stayed 15 minutes, sometimes over an hour. They didn't always talk. They didn't have to. He sat, he breathed, he belonged. And Tanya? She never forgot the day a quiet man left her a note, not with promises or praise, but with dignity. And every time she refilled his coffee, she'd say the same thing. Black, no sugar, just how you like it. And every time he'd smile and say, "You remember," and she always did.